In the future, history will write the most powerful state are changed by the people who cannot sleep in the midnight, just on their fingertips and typed a few sentences, then the world changed. Once you have this idea, you remember for your life, freedom or nothing.
Ai Weiwei, bring down the great firewall of China.
This is a story about one man's attempt to do the impossible. Break down China's Great Firewall, a high-tech barrier against political and artistic freedom. His name is Ai Weiwei, and he's an artist, blogger, and activist.
你这叫什么逻辑？你作为公安来说，这个人没罪，你关了他再去了解他情况。
Who takes great pleasure in skewering China's autocracy.
Because you're sending out some message, you can be in the middle of night, can search by the police, and can be taken away without legal papers, and can be hidden in somewhere nobody would know you, even your family cannot reach you for months. So this is terrifying. It's really like Nazis.
And that's the terrifying reality that Ai Weiwei confronted a week after he talked to us. For 80 days, even his own family didn't know where the police were holding him.
Free Weiwei, free Ai Weiwei, release Weiwei, free Ai Weiwei.
The reason why Ai's arrest sparked worldwide protests in his support is because he's much more than an anonymous blogger. He's a world-famous artist who even helped design Beijing's celebrated Olympic Stadium.
He's very significant. He turned his role from a pure artist into an artist activist. I call it Artivist.
Isaac Mao, once a software architect at Intel, is also a prolific blogger.
He adopted new technologies. He used Twitter every day for almost all the waking time. He tweets. He has some other assistant to help him to do those artistic things, but he keep tweeting answer people's questions and try to question those policies and the police monitoring in front of his gateway. He always tweet.
The internet has given voice to Chinese critical of their own government, but it's heavily monitored and censored by the state.
They may just shut off any moment, so.
Ai has become an internet father figure of sorts in the electronic dissent movement in China.
Normally I answer people's questions.
He tweets with thousands of Chinese every day on a site called Sina.
I use a fake name to get into this Sina.
Aliases to evade censorship. But it's a game of cat and mouse. And when they figure it out, they cut Ai off. Until he springs up again.
Just in like one day I got this much followers. The main thing I want to do is, for being an artist, I try to tell the whole generation an individual is powerful. It's okay to be different, and it's okay to be yourself. Of course, as an artist, I have many means to do it.
So this work by Ai Weiwei is called Grapes.
Melissa Chu is an expert on contemporary Chinese art and director of the Asia Society Museum in New York.
I think that much of the discussion up until this point has been about his political commentary, and there's been very little ability for us to be able to talk about his creative output, his work as an artist.
To get a sense of Ai the artist, we met Chu at a New York gallery, where much of Ai Weiwei's art is on display.
I think Ai Weiwei, of any other artist perhaps in China, is one of the most difficult to categorize. He doesn't just do sculpture, he doesn't just do photographs, he doesn't even just do architecture or some of his political activism. He's always been one of those artists who sought to make statements and then find the best media to do that.
Chu said much of Ai's work centers on challenging modern Chinese cultural assumptions. In the mid-90s, when the government of Beijing was tearing down old houses to rebuild the city, Ai created a series of photos of him dropping an ancient Chinese urn.
So in many ways that was something of a commentary on what was going on in Beijing around him. And it's a great introduction to what we might consider to be Ai Weiwei's kind of conceptual practice.
He's painted corporate logos on old Chinese pottery, taken a series of anti-authoritarian photographs, and filled the massive exhibition hall of the Tate Modern Museum in London with 100 million porcelain sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds are an everyday snack for Chinese people. They eat them all the time. And so it's a kind of marriage of the very precious with the everyday that I think is really at the heart of a lot of Ai Weiwei's more conceptual installation projects. He's always been somebody for whom art and life kind of merge together, and maybe that's why also we see his more recent kind of political statements. I imagine he would consider them as part of his own art practice as well.